I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Hello, welcome to a new vlog. We are Life of the Larks. My name is Chloe, my husband's name is Luke, and we have a miniature dachshund named Martha. We have just come back from the Maldives, and this is our final video in our Maldives series. So if you are a subscriber, hello. If you are looking to go to Siyam World in the Maldives and you have stumbled across our video for advice, please make sure you go back and watch all the other videos if that would help influence you. But this is going to be sort of the breakdown of the honeymoon, the holiday. Did we think it was worth it? The whole process, what we think could be improved, what we think was amazing and more people need to do, and did we think it was value for money? So stick around because you're going to want to listen to what we've got to say, I'm sure. So let's get started. It's probably going to be quite a long one. I've written some notes in my little notebook. So we actually booked the holiday through British Airways. We looked at TUI, Virgin, Travel Republic. Please do shop around because we were about to book with Travel Republic and Luke just happened to check British Airways' website and it was about £2,000 cheaper on there. TUI was double the price. Virgin, I don't think they had anything. Yeah, we were about to book with Travel Republic with the British Airways flights and we managed to get this amazing deal. We went for 13 nights. We stayed in an overwater lagoon villa. We flew from Heathrow Airport, Terminal 5. We had to take 2 planes. So our first flight was with British Airways. It was at 6:40 at night and we flew on a Sunday. We did enjoy the flight. It was lovely. We actually pre-booked our seats so we knew exactly what seats we were getting. We were in economy and we were the 2 seats right at the back. So they do have a few rows where it's just 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And yeah, no complaints about that flight. The food was lovely. The flight attendants were lovely, really chatty. Yeah, it was easy. The Wi-Fi didn't work, but the entertainment system was fantastic. Games, films, TV shows, podcasts, music channels, everything you could want, they had. We landed in Mali in the morning. It was a nice overnight flight. And yeah, very easy when we got to Mali. They disembarked the plane extremely quickly and we had to get a shuttle bus across to the airport terminal. Once we were through, we had to go to see immigration. Now, just a word of warning, with the Maldives, you do have to fill in an immigration document. We did speak to a guy on holiday. He didn't know he had to fill this in. He was basically denied entry, but obviously he was gained entry because they had to pay $400 each to have it fast-tracked. You can only do it 4 days before you go, up to 24 hours before. So there's like a 72-hour window where you can do this. They'll need your passport information, your resort information, your flying date, your return date, everything like that. When they give you a QR code to keep hold of, but when we got there, he would scan our passport, saw our immigration documents and let us straight through with a stamp. So I've got a Maldives stamp in my passport that I'm chuffed about. Once we went through immigration, it was very, very easy. It was very, very quiet when we went. We then headed over to get our bags. Our bags came through pretty quick. A top tip, because there was a few people panicking, we put air tags or any sort of tracking device in our suitcases. We put them in each of our suitcases and we were able to know that when we got there, our suitcases were in the Maldives. Absolutely fine. So there was no panic from us. We had no issues. Then headed through out to the arrivals and there was tons of tour companies waiting, signs showing clearly who they were working with. We clearly saw Sun Siam Resort straight in front of us, as that's the name of the company. They have quite a few islands, so it's Sun Siam Resorts. We then headed over, said we're staying at Siyam World. They asked our name, ticked our names off of this iPad. This woman then took our suitcases straight over to a desk and got us checked in, took our suitcases off of us, and then we headed off in another little shuttle bus over to the Seaplane terminal. Mali Airport is like an airport I've never seen before because they have seaplanes and they have speedboats, and just as you walk outside of the arrivals, you're just greeted with the most bluest sea. It is insane. So that was a really nice welcome and very, very easy. We then headed over to the Seaplane terminal. As we stepped out of the shuttle bus, this woman knew exactly who we were. We didn't have name tags on. She knew exactly who we were. It was so impressive. Like, it was seamless. She came, there was quite a few of us as well on this bus, all going to different parts of, like, all different islands that they have. And she came straight over to me and Luke and said, "Hi, you guys are going to Siyam World?" We were like, "Yeah." She said, "Great, you need to go up to here, second floor, I'll pop you in the lift, second floor and just to your left." And it showed us a picture of what we needed to look out for, this big logo, and it was so easy to find. Told us our plane wouldn't be leaving until about 12:30. The Seaplane hadn't arrived yet. We said, that's fine. It was about 10 a.m, 10:30 a.m. at this point. We landed at 9. So we thought, it's fine. We know we're getting drinks, snacks, you know, food, a shower, aircon, a place to relax. So that's where we headed. It was stunning. It was beautiful. We were greeted by this lovely man who checked our boarding passes and our passports. Don't put your passports away. They need your passports at every single point at this place. We were told that we had a free 10-minute sort of neck, head, shoulder massage, was complimentary. They had toilets, showers, all the drinks and food was included. They had computers for like kids or anyone to go on, TVs. They had a balcony outside with lots of seating and tables for you to go and sit outside and watch the seaplanes take off and come in. We decided to stay inside just because it was a bit grey. It was boiling hot. We were not used to that heat and humidity. It was a little bit rainy when we arrived. So I did go and change and have a little freshen up. Yeah, after about sort of 20 minutes, half an hour there, I managed to sort of film the food and get myself a Fanta. I opened it, they came over and said, your plane is coming early. So we had to go straight downstairs and go and wait to board the plane. We were told our luggage wasn't going to make it to Siyam World on the same plane as us, but we were told it was coming out on the next plane in about an hour's time. So we were like, as long as it makes it out, we're fine with that. We're headed off to the Seaplane. It was absolutely incredible seeing the plane for the first time. We got on board, it was like a sauna. It was so hot. And they only had these 2 tiny little fans, and I was thinking that's not going to cool us down. Shockingly, they did. I did also take my handheld EasyAC fan as well that I got off of Amazon. So I do highly suggest packing a portable fan in your hand luggage case that's easily accessible, because you are going to want that when you land. But they did hand out some of these earplugs. They're not great. I will show you. I bought some home for this prime example. So these are the earplugs. They don't fit in my ear. So Luke wore them, I didn't. The Seaplane is loud. So if you do have anyone that is sensitive to noise, neurodivergent, make sure you probably want to be packing some ear defenders or headphones, something for them to listen to on the plane. It's only 45 minutes, but it is loud. It was an incredible experience. We then landed down in Siyam World, where we were greeted with these beautiful necklaces that were made out of palm leaves. We were greeted with people playing drums, and then taken into this really nice little room with air conditioning and really comfy sofas. And we literally just sat down, saw our hand luggage cases had made it, and I thought, great, because I've packed swimwear in these hand luggage cases, so I'm well done me. Top tip: make sure you're packing swimwear in your hand luggage, because just in case your cases don't make it to Siyam World on the same plane as you, you then have swimwear for everyone to change into to go swimming when you arrive. It was a very easy check-in process. I'm used to queuing in a hotel, trying to get my all-inclusive band, you know, fighting for my life, waiting and queuing for ages whilst reception do the same spiel over and over again. This is very different. There's no queuing. There is sofas everywhere. They take you down. They offer you a drink. I think we were offered champagne, juice, beer. We both took a champagne, and we were given a map of the island, and on there she wrote everywhere where we should be going, where everything, like what time it opens, what time it closes, where to go for breakfast, lunch, dinners, good places to snorkel, where the doctor's office is, where the shops are, where all the bars are, what the opening times for the bars are, closing, everything we could need to know. She told us. More importantly, we were told about the snorkeling equipment. So if you have the all-inclusive, you are entitled to free snorkeling equipment whilst you're on the island. But there are 2 different places you can get snorkeling equipment from. So if you are going to the Tak Rai, which is the Thai restaurant, pier, and snorkeling off the end of that pier, which is where they recommend because there's tons of fish, there is a dive centre there. You can take the snorkel equipment, but you have to return it straight away once you come out of the water and pass. You can't take it away with you. There is a dive temple. It's right near the Good Vibrations bar and also the big water inflatable assault course on the sea. That one, you are entitled to keep the snorkel equipment from the first day of your holiday or whenever you collect it to the day before you leave the island. You do have to return it the day before you leave, otherwise they'll add it to your final bill and you have to pay, and it is expensive equipment. So you're going to want to be returning that. So once we knew all of that, we then headed in her little golf buggy, and she didn't make us walk, thank God. And she took us round to our room, which is the Lagoon Villas, Water Villas. We were in room 520, which was sort of halfway up the dock. What was really nice and good to know is we didn't carry our cases this whole time. I know we only had our hand luggage. We didn't have these with us. They left them on the dock off the Seaplane, and they drove them to the water villa so that when we got to the water villa, they were there waiting for us. So we had no worries. So off we headed. It was so exciting. It was so lovely. And then we walked in with our host Khan, and there was decorated on the bed, Happy Honeymoon. And it is the most beautiful room I have ever seen in my whole life. It was fantastic, and I miss it. I miss that room so much. So yes, that was sort of the check-in process. I don't think they could have made it any easier, any more seamless. There was physically nothing that we could have asked more from that experience. That is the nicest check-in experience I've ever had, and probably ever will have, because other hotels aren't going to do it as good as they did it. Not one person was left waiting. And what was really nice is, obviously we were introduced as she was our host to look after us whilst we were away. We exchanged numbers, and that meant every single day she was texting us the program for the day, what was on, where it was on, what time it was on, all the restaurants that were open, again, opening times, closing times, paid for restaurants, non-paid for restaurants, everything. She did go ahead and also get us a few reservations booked before we got out there, which was really nice, and then just said to us, make sure if you like a restaurant, you're rebooking it again as quickly as possible, which we were doing. So yeah, perfect, seamless check-in experience. Right, the room. Room was, as I've just said, incredible. It was beautiful. It was decorated lovely. It's one of the cleanest rooms I've ever been in my life. It was so spacious, so large, just beautiful. Honestly, there's no other word for it other than beautiful. We can't comment on the beach villas or any other villa. Every single water villa comes with a slide and a private pool. I just think the higher up the standard of room you go, the bigger your private pool is, because the room is bigger by square footage. That is the difference. I know that I think the Lagoon, don't hold me to it, but I think if I remember from booking, the Lagoon villa had a bath in the bathroom. The standard water villa did not, and we did have baths. So the bath view looked out to the sea and the slide, and it was just breathtaking. The room itself was fully equipped, so you did have a beautiful, comfortable king-size bed. You had 2 bedside drawers, night lights, various plugs. Now, if you're worried about what plug to bring, it was these weird multi-plug sort of shape that fit every single plug in, because we bought European plug adapters and US plug adapters just in case they didn't have UK plugs. They did. They just fit everything, which was fantastic. We also had in the room a nice sofa at the end of the bed that again looked out at the sea. Everything points at the sea. That is the spectacular view. That is the focal point of the room. You have these beautiful massive windows and doors against the whole back wall with these lovely big blackout curtains, a nice sort of thick, well, it wasn't thick, but it was a nice plush duvet. And you also have a TV. Your TV has got Amazon Prime, Netflix and YouTube. So if you are traveling with kids, you're going to be covered. You do have a mini fridge, and if you're included on the WOW all-inclusive, you do get access to everything in the mini fridge. They'll restock it every single day with stuff that you've used. If you did want anything else put in there, specific branded things like Singer beer instead of the beer they put in there, it would be at an extra cost, but you can get it for free if you go to one of the bars at night and just bring some back with you. They give you mosquito repellent, a mosquito plug, but to be honest, the mosquitoes out there, you could do with more. So please bring your own mosquito repellent. We took 2 bottles of Jungle Formula, maximum 5 roll-on. We went through both of them basically, and their one. I also took mosquito bands, and I wish I'd taken more plugins. That's one thing I wish I took. There's an espresso coffee maker, coffee pods in a really nice like wooden box that closes. You have a nice large safe that is included in your stay. They also had an ironing board, an iron, they had 2 robes, slippers, and they also had up at the top the life vests. There was plenty of pools there. We didn't get round to all of them, and we were there for 2 weeks. So they had a pool at Together Bar, which was sort of the main pool, which is where we sort of went most days. They also had a pool called Jungali, which was pretty much as its name, in the middle of like the jungle. And they had a swim up bar. We went there a couple of times, but found we were getting bitten by mosquitoes in the day around there, so we didn't tend to hang around there that much. They had a pool at Shipwrecked, at Mint Bar, which is an adults only bar, which is an adults only pool. Obviously every single person had their own private pool. There were so many swimming pools, but we didn't struggle at all getting a sun lounger. We didn't reserve, we didn't get up early at the crack of dawn. Each of the beaches had sun loungers down there with parasols, all the same sun loungers, all the same comfy ones, all have bars, like all have waiter service. It was really, really good. A lot of these sun loungers do have a button to press if you would like service, but to be honest, the staff are so hardworking. They walk around all day in that sun. I don't know how they do it. On the subject again of being at the beaches, a lot of the pools are on the beach fronts, so you don't have to sort of miss out. The only one that wasn't was Jungali. That was literally in the middle of the jungle. But like Together Bar, Mint Bar, Shipwrecked, they were all on the seafront. The sea out there is like a bubble bath. It is so warm, it is lovely. You can get in straight away. The sea on most days was extremely clear, extremely blue, beautiful to swim in. There was a couple days where there was a bit of an undercurrent, and it was sort of moving the sand around in the sea and you couldn't see anything. And with the undercurrent, it was quite hard to swim, and we're strong swimmers. So just be wary of that. All of the sea is lifeguarded as much as they can. So on the docks, you can snorkel off basically every single pier, the docks, whatever you want to call them, jetties, and especially the ones with the villas, the water villas, they have lifeguards on bikes, like cycling up and down all day to the different snorkeling popular points, and they can see into your private pool down the side, which you would want. You might think, ugh, no, you want that, it's safe. So yes, there was plenty of lifeguards, but obviously watch your children. Don't go in the sea if you're not a confident swimmer. And if in doubt, wear a life jacket. There's no shame in it. A lot of people were doing that. It was fantastic for snorkeling out there. There were so many reefs, sharks, stingrays. Every single member of the Finding Nemo cast was there. It was so lovely. It was a really beautiful sea. My top tip, snorkel in the morning when all the fish are having their breakfast. We saw thousands in the mornings. We only went for a few mornings, but I wish I did it more. Moving on, you do have their big water park on the sea. It's an inflatable assault course. It was fun, it was tiring, and I hurt myself. Again, that is lifeguarded, and you do have to wear a life jacket for this. You cannot take sunglasses in the water with you or wear them. You can wear water shoes, which is what we did, and we would advise you to as well, because it gives you that just extra bit of gripping, even though we fell off all the time. Just be mindful where you're putting your feet, and look out for the up arrows on the inflatables, because that is where you can get back up onto the inflatable if you fall off, and that's where they have the canvasy stairs to get back on. It's bigger than it looks. It's harder than it looks. It's free to use if you're on the all-inclusive. You can use it for however long you want, whenever you want. Obviously you can't use it past 6 p.m. because that is the rules. You're not allowed to swim in the water past 6 p.m. at night, because otherwise they can't see you and the lifeguards go home. You can swim in your private pool after 6 p.m, you just can't swim in the sea. There is plenty to do regarding the sea as well. If you're quite an active person, they had at an additional cost, they had jet skiing, parasailing, they had this like motorized dolphin that you could go under the water in. They had the jetpack sort of thing where you could float. They had like a sports car, they had rubber dinghies, banana boats. They had so much. They also have included the kayaks. It's not the glass bottom kayaks, it is the just coloured kayaks were included, and apparently paddleboarding, but we tried to do the paddleboarding and didn't see one person paddleboarding and didn't know where to get the paddleboards from. But there is plenty to do on the sea. With, again, stuff that's at an additional cost, they did have excursions. When you are on the WOW all-inclusive, you get 3 excursions included. They are a trip to a local island, which lasts about 3 hours. You do have a snorkeling safari, and you have a sunset cruise. The sunset cruise was about an hour and a half, and I think the snorkeling safari was a couple of hours. We also did a paid for excursion, so we did the Lucky Turtle snorkeling. There was 2 options. There was Lucky Turtle and Shark snorkeling, or Lucky Turtle. They also did Lucky Manta Ray and Lucky Shark. I am obsessed with sea turtles. I love sea turtles, and I love them even more now. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I actually got out after the trip and said to Luke, that may have been better than my wedding day, or our wedding day. And he was like, no, that's fair enough. So the Lucky Turtle snorkeling was $78 each, but you do have to bear in mind when you do these trips, and they do warn you that you do have to pay the tax, which is 16%, so you have to add that on, and you also have to add on a 10% gratuity as well. So it worked out to be about $99 each. Bargain. We saw about 15 turtles. They were specifically green sea turtles. They were magnificent. They took us right out. They split us into 2. Well, we already had 2 boats, and the other boat was worrying about their passengers, but our passengers, there was about 18 of us, but they split us into 2. So one guy swam up front with people that were a stronger swimmer, which was where we were, and then they said, you know, people that were weaker swimmers hung back with another guy, and they were able to find lots of turtles as well. It was incredible. But we also saw sharks when we were there, so we saved ourselves about $100. They did also say to us that they can sometimes see rays, stingray family. We didn't that day, but they are there sometimes, so do bear that in mind. I would highly recommend the Lucky Turtle. The crew were great. It took about 45 minutes to get to the reef where they know they are. Nice small boat. They made sure all of our snorkels didn't fog up, sprayed all our snorkels with the solution, which is literally just washing up liquid and water. But they made sure every single person's glasses were clean. You do have to bring your own snorkeling equipment to every trip that is a snorkeling trip. Excursions were incredible. You can't actually buy them on the app. You just book it on the app. And then on your last day, when you go and pay your bill, that's when you have to pay it. So do make sure you're keeping tabs of your bill before you get there and you've got a really nasty surprise. They have a sports centre on site which has badminton, paddle, tennis, football. They have a proper size football court. They had a gym. They had bike hire, which was $15 a day. Go-kart track as well. There was plenty to do. We did do paddle one day. Again, this was all included in our package, that the badminton, the tennis and everything. You get an hour, I think. We played for about 20 minutes. It was hot and we played at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was too hot, but they have it. It was very good. We didn't do bike hire, but we would do it next time. But it was very easy to get around the island because they had buses. So the island is big. It takes about 2 hours to walk around if you're a good walker. But the buses out there were brilliant. The bus drivers gave you lots of tips and tricks and like more places to snorkel. They were so friendly and so knowledgeable. Like I said, they did have a gym. Where the gym is, it's at the sports bar. So you have the 24/7 sports bar playing all different types of sports, cricket, football, American sports, American football. They had a little friends corner in there as well, like a central perk, coffee shop. Lots of TVs dotted around. So we went in there and Luke wanted to watch a Tottenham match. We were sat near a TV that wasn't playing any football and he just asked the guy and the guy put it straight on the TV. Also at the sports bar you have a pool table, a football table, you know, with the football men, and a ping pong table and a tiny little golf putting thing. It was weird. And like I said, the two gyms. One side is weights, one side is cardio. On the subject of bars, they also have plenty of bars. So you have the Shipwreck bar, Together bar, Mint bar, Good Vibrations bar. There's so many bars there. Our favourite was Together. Together bar is where the main entertainment sort of centre is. They have the sort of main stage there and the Together bar sort of beach area where they would do fire shows, DJing and everything like that. It was sort of the bar that had the most extensive cocktail menu and where people would tend to do shisha, but you could do shisha at a lot of them. Shisha is at an extra cost. It's between $30 to $45 for the, I think they had like 4 flavours in the $30 and then sort of more premium flavours in the $45. Luke did do a shisha on the last night. He had watermelon and it lasted the whole night. And that boy was puffing away. But the bars are great. The staff are great. You can always have a drink. They play music at each of the bars. We preferred Together bar to Mint bar, which was the adult only bar. This is purely because 1, it was easier to get a bus from. 2, the music was better. They played a lot of like Spanish, reggaeton, holiday, fun music at Together bar. Mint bar was like instrumental, jazzy, classical music. Wasn't for us. It was very chilled, but they also had a pool table at Mint bar, which Luke preferred. Pool table at Mint bar was much better than the one at the sports bar. But yeah, we just only went to Mint bar a couple of times and that was more than enough. We always ended back up at Together bar after a sort of an hour. They also had plenty to eat. So you had 3 paid for restaurants, but you had 5 included like a la carte restaurants. An Italian called Del Mare, a Spanish called Andalusia, a Thai restaurant called Tak Rai, an Indian called Curry Leaf, a Maldivian called Kaj, a grill called Wahoo Grill. That's 6 restaurants. My favourite was the Italian. Luke said his favourite was, I think, the Indian. But the food was amazing there. All 3 courses. So you get normally get a bread service to start with, or like at the Indian you got poppadoms, at the Thai you got prawn crackers, then you get a starter, a main and a dessert. They also offer you teas and coffee. They have speciality cocktails, like a couple of drinks that are themed around like the country. So you have like Indian cocktails, the Spanish had sangria, the Thai had a couple of cocktails. The Italian, they weren't Italian themed. There weren't any Sicilian lemon things or anything like that, but or Aperol or anything. They were themed around, because it's called Shipwrecked where that is, and it's a big ship. They were themed around sort of ships and pirates. Food was great. I've never eaten so well on holiday in my life. When I go on holiday, I am normally vegetarian. I don't like to eat meat when I go away. This place, delicious. So nice. So well made. I even ate off the plant-based menu once or twice, and even that was delicious. There is a couple of buffets. So there is Barbaroo, I want to say, and also Tempo. I don't know why I forgot that. Barbaroo is right next door to Together Bar, and Tempo was literally at the bottom of our pier where our room was. Tempo is the main buffet restaurant, so it has breakfast, lunch and dinner there, and each night was a different theme. And when we would get a text from our room host, she would tell us what theme that night was at Tempo. Barbaroo was only open for breakfast, and it was at like a shorter amount of time to Tempo. One really nice thing whilst we were sat on our sun lounge was watching the wildlife. The wildlife they have there is insane. They had fruit bats flying out in the day. They would get so close to you, they were so big, you could literally see all the details in the webbing on their wings. They had a family of cats out there. But they weren't treated like strays, they were treated like royalty. There was food and drinks for them at every restaurant that was regularly topped up and kept clean. They had collars on. They were just lovely, friendly cats. There was loads of them. They called Jellybean in the gang. They had, names for all of their fish, and it was just lovely. The wildlife there was incredible. They had wild chickens strolling around the place. The one thing we didn't think was worth it, and I didn't particularly like and wish I actually hadn't gone, but it was a recommendation from one of the bus drivers, was their stables. So they do have horses there, and they have like a mini farm. They had way too many goats for the size of pen, and you weren't allowed to vlog. That's probably a reason why you weren't allowed your own cameras out, and no one looked happy to be there. So we were like, nah, we're going. As much as the wildlife that was free to roam around was stunning, sort of the ones that were kept in cages weren't. That probably moves me quite nicely on to some negatives. There was very hard to find some negatives here. One negative, the swimming pools are hot. They aren't cold in the slightest. Yeah, the swimming pools are not cold. These swimming pools are like hot tubs, maybe hotter. So when you were boiling, and sort of every 20 minutes we were getting in the pool to cool down, it wasn't that cool. And also the sea wasn't that cool because the Indian Ocean is known for being quite warm. It was quite hard to cool down. That is something they can't help. But it's just something to be wary of, and Luke put it as his negative, so I thought it was important to mention it. Another negative is, I have mentioned it already previously, the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes, we were told, are the most dangerous things they have in the Maldives, and them buggers were everywhere. I was putting on 2 layers of jungle formula every day, like in the evenings. I couldn't wear certain perfumes because it was attracting them. Luckily, I took one that was sort of lemony based, which was my wedding perfume, and they seemed to not bite me when I was wearing that perfume. But when that perfume wore off, they were feasting, and I don't normally get bitten. Luckily, none of them swelled. I had Afterbite with me, and I had lots of creams, and I was taking antihistamines every day. Jungali, we could literally see them landing on us. We could see them fumigating in the day. We could see this man out fumigating the jungle, but they can only do so much. But I did write in my TripAdvisor review to maybe put citronella on the tables as a candle or a diffuser, just something citronella-y on each table. So it's just something to bear in mind. And for me, it was a bit of a negative because I was coming home and I'd be like, I've been bitten three to 6 times. And I was concerned because obviously we'd been told they are dangerous out there. Not that you need a jab before you go out, but just be wary of them. My next thing probably was the price of things on this island in regards to the shop. So on the subject of the shop, I'm going to pop my little haul in of stuff we did get.
Right, okay. So this is going to be the little haul part of the video. So from Heathrow Airport, the box did get a bit battered because I brought it home. But I did buy the Kylie Jenner Cosmic 2.0. Love this box, it's stunning. And it's a really fruity, it's not too sweet, but it's lovely. I really like this. If you did see our travel day, you would have seen I nearly bought the first one. I didn't realise there was two. This was £44 and it is the, I believe the 100ml. So I thought it was a bargain. Next, I did buy some Prada sunglasses. So this is the box it came in. Again, from packing, I'm really upset about this actually. But from packing, the box has got a bit tattered. And then as you opened up the box, you got this really nice sunglass case that says Prada on it. And it opens up this way. So the actual glasses are these. And then this is the arm. Let's say Prada Miliano there. And these style, they are the SPR 24Z. I love them. So I'm very happy with these. I can't lie, I can't remember how much they were. Luke also treated himself to some Prada sunglasses. So this is the box his came in. And then when you pulled it out, this is what his case looks like. It's rather cool. It's going to have finger marks on it because it's been on holiday. And these are his glasses. The side of his glasses look like this. And this style is the SPS 04Z. That was what we bought at Heathrow Airport. And then moving on to what we bought in the resort. So I am missing one thing. So I will insert it hopefully if I find it. If I haven't, I'm going to be really upset because it's our magnet. And this magnet has gone missing so many times. I just don't know where it's gone. Okay, don't mind me and don't mind Luke, who's in bed watching the snooker. I've really had so many outfit changes and hair changes in this video. I've just had a bath and I found our magnet. So this is the magnet we chose to get. How cute is that? It's like 3D and it's shiny. Yeah, there we go. And it sticks up. And it's so cool. And obviously it's got the turtles on it because we swam with turtles. It's got the coral reef, which we snorkel down to every single day. And then them angelfish on there we saw tons of. And it says, I heart the Maldives. And we do love the Maldives now. So I found the magnet. That is all. Go back. So we got two of these. We've already given one away. These are presents. This is going to my mum and my stepdad. So it's this little turtle wooden magnet. And then we did buy something else that they wrapped very safely for us. We bought this amazing turtle. So it's on this reef, coral, and look, we bought this turtle and on it, it does say Maldives. I love this. This was this wasn't very expensive. It was $42, which you might think is expensive for this. And personally, I do. But I love it because we swam with turtles when we were out there. The best experience of my life. So next I'm going to move, that's literally all we bought in the resort because everything was very expensive. Moving on to the airport, we did go to duty free. It was a nightmare, but everything was a lot cheaper in there and they basically had everything they had in our resort there. So if you do think you're in your resort and you think this is too expensive, I'll see if they have it at the airport, I personally would say it's worth the risk because I saw everything. Our turtle was the same price and the wooden blocks with the painted Maldives scene on it, they were the same price as our hotel. But some of the other stuff were a lot cheaper. There was a huge souvenir shop. There was a specific clothing shop that everything said the Maldives. I heart the Maldives. I heart MAL. I really liked a t-shirt that said respect the respect the locals, and it was a picture of a whole coral reef with a turtle and some fish, and then it said the Maldives underneath. I loved that, but it was $35, and I thought, no. So I didn't get that, but I did buy this. So this is one thing I bought. It's this little key ring, and it has a little turtle at the bottom. There is a running theme with this because I love sea turtles so much. There is also a turtle at this top end. And it is, yeah, a key ring, and it just says, I love the Maldives. This was $7. So we got that. I then bought another gift. Now these were $19 at our resort, and I didn't see ones as nice as this. This was $9. Basically, everywhere I go, I always get my mum and my stepdad a shot glass. They collect shot glasses. They're not massive alcohol drinkers, but they do collect shot glasses. So it has all of the Maldivian islands. And then finally at the airport, we also managed to get something that I collect. So everywhere I go, actually, I'll go and grab it. Right, I'm back. So every holiday we go on, I like to buy a frame. I have done it since my first girls' holiday back in 2013. They're at my mum's. But yes, I see these tacky frames and I just have to buy them. However, I notice there are two that are very similar. So this was our first holiday in Tenerife. And I like to put a holiday picture in there. This, I don't know, this was probably about €7. Then it's a running theme. We then went to Cyprus and I got this frame. Again, there's no price on this, but this wouldn't have cost more than €10. So again, we've got sea turtles, we've got sand, a reef, footprints, and all sorts, with a picture of us in Cyprus there. And then at our resort, they wanted to charge me 47 American US dollars for a frame like that. I said, no. I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not have it and make my own. Then we went to the airport, $15. $15 for this, but it is very similar to the Tenerife one. I love the tacky frames. Around my house, I have quite nice frames, and then in my spare room, we've got the tacky frames, but I would love to bring these out when we've got more. So yeah, that was $15, and that's pretty much everything we bought at the Maldives.
So yeah, the shop was expensive. They had a clothing shop, 2 jewellery shops. We never stepped foot in the jewellery shops. And they had like a little pharmacy and souvenirs. I have vlogged the shop in a couple of vlogs, and I showed the prices of some things. It was $100+ for an inflatable. It was $23 for a lot of the magnets. It was $68 for Sunbum sun cream. So make sure you're taking more sun cream than you need. Make sure you're taking after sun. Take sanitary products. They are expensive out there. They didn't have tampons. They only had sanitary pads. I couldn't get over the price of things, but my one piece of advice was wait to the airport. I wish I waited to the airport for a lot of things because it was a lot cheaper in the airport. There's no till in the shop. There's no till with the guy. You go over to this like person sat at a desk and you give them the stuff you want, and then they add it to your room tab. And then, like I said, on the day before you leave, you then go and pay your tab. So yeah, like I said, make sure you're keeping tabs of everything you bought because it soon racks up. But I would personally say that is the only negatives we could find. The price of the shop, the mosquitoes, and Luke said the temperature of the pools was a bit too much, like when you were really hot. I didn't mind the temperature of the pool. He just said it was his negative. Positives, the staff. The staff make this island. Siyam World have picked the best staff to work there. They are the most hardworking, polite, well-mannered. Like, they're just lovely people. They chat. They're so good at remembering numerous drink orders with numerous room numbers on them. We very rarely had an issue where we couldn't get a drink. I think it only happened a couple of times they forgot our drink. So Yeah, it is incredible. The island itself is clean. They work so hard. There is a specific plant team that we noticed would be up at the crack of dawn, sweeping the leaves back in from the storms through the night. They would be making sure everything's swept away, the pathways are clear, the beaches are raked for the day. They'd be going out regularly, fumigating the jungle, chopping it back. It just did so much. They were even wetting the sand on the road to make sure the buses could drive with ease. The whole island, how it's laid out, is fantastic. What are the positives? Just the whole vibe, really. The island itself is just so well catered to not focus on a certain demographic. So it is a family-friendly island. They're not focused on families. It's not a family hotel. It's not a family island. It is a family-friendly island. So there is stuff for kids. There is a kids club. We can't comment on the kids club because we didn't use it, but there was a kids world. There was entertainment that was good for adults and kids. I mean, kids will watch most things. But it was fantastic. Like, they just catered. You know, there was every single age group, every single demographic you could think of were all sat in the same place because they just got it so right. Like, we didn't feel left out once, and we felt so special, we felt so important, and that's because of the staff. The entertainment there was a bit same, but they are very, very talented people. It's not their fault that the shows feature the same things. Each show sort of had a fire element, a magician element, a dancing element, an acrobat element, with just a different theme, but they were fantastic. But the live band, they are incredible, that live band. We loved them. We loved watching the live band. We loved the karaoke. We loved everything like that. It was just perfect. And that live band did like a 2-hour set with a short break. So loved it. Loved that live band. Reefs are so well looked after. The sea is so well looked after. It is so respectful. It is just 5-star, and not once did we think we're not getting our money's worth here. Every single day, even just walking into a venue and our favourite waiter, Raju, going, we hadn't even seen him. He'd be like hidden round a corner, but we'd walk in to get our little sun lounger area and we would hear, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am." And it would just start my day off right. Like, the effort, I just can 100% say we really felt like we got our money's worth. And there is not one point of that holiday where I thought, oh, I think we've wasted a bit of money here. No, it is expensive, but it is worth it. And they do absolutely, you can justify the reason of the price why it is. It's that price for a reason, and it's justified. So my advice to you, book it. And if you've already booked it, I'm jealous. So get that app downloaded. It's called Siyam World. Get it downloaded. Start booking in your dinners. You're going to have the best time. The food is incredible. The staff are incredible. The drinks are incredible. Your all-inclusive package is so extensive. It includes premium, premium spirits, beers by the can, by the bottle, umpteen cocktails, umpteen mocktails. Oh, it is going to be the holiday of a lifetime. It was just the most incredible experience, and I will never forget it. And I'm already trying to figure out how we can get back to Siyam World. I'm already trying to figure it out. Thank you, Siyam World, for making it just the most incredible experience of our lives and the best honeymoon we could have ever hoped for. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Drop us a comment below. Have you booked Siyam World? Have you been? Do you agree with us? Or are you considering booking it and we've sort of pushed you to book it? And as always, please make sure you're subscribed to see all of our future stuff, because we have got my 30th birthday coming up and lots of shopping hauls and family days out. So you won't want to miss that. But all that leaves me to say is, we have been Life of the Larks. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.